It's a real good podcast, yeah. Yeah.
Woo! Hi, and welcome to the Real Good Podcast. My name is Raymond Morris.
And I'm Austin James.
And we'd like to welcome you to this program, this fantastic program that is brought to you by coffee. That's right, coffee. It keeps you caffeinated, even when you don't feel like being caffeinated. Coffee, available wherever coffee is sold. So, Austin, we got quite a show today, don't we?
We got a lot of topics to cover. A lot of news, and we'll get right into it. We
might as well
waste your time
with an awesome segment of Rapid Fire.
Pew,
Rapid fire! Rapid fire!
The first topic that we're going to be covering today comes from Warner Brothers and Justice League again. We just can't get away from this movie, and not in a good way. Not in a good way.
It's really not that bad of a movie, but all the stuff behind it makes it seem like way worse.
Yeah, it's just, man, I just don't know. Anyway, cinematographer came out this week and thought, you know what, things are not controversial enough. Let me go on ahead and throw some fuel on the fire. Said that they shot a few black-suited Superman scenes. Now, if you've listened to us or watched us at all, you know that is the one thing I wanted to see in this movie was black-suited Superman.
I think they hinted at it one time too.
Henry Cavill posted an Instagram post with the suit, and so black-suited Superman was teased. Black-suited Superman is what we wanted. Black-suited Superman is not what we got. Mm-hmm. However, the cinematographer said that it was cut from the movie. So, Austin, that just brings up this topic again. I know you like Justice League.
Yep.
But it begs the question, I guess, of what movie did we actually end up with?
Yeah.
Could it have been better?
I don't think it could have been much worse, but not that it was. I mean, it had to be. I mean, it wasn't like Suicide Squad. Like, it didn't have that much issues, but there was definitely some. And like the one you said you weren't a big fan of was they used the mother box to bring Superman back. Which, since we did our Justice League review, again, not huge comic book persons. I don't understand. I mean, I am, but I don't understand the mother boxes at all. Apparently, they talk too. So like, I guess from what I've started to read more is like that's why they're like literally like a mother box with like the Amazon.
So the boxes are basically like these. They're basically like computers. They're like living computers. Is what they're like. In one iteration of it, I'm not going to pretend to know all the comic book stuff. I've kind of tried to read up on it, but like if you want to know, just call up Jack Kirby.
Yeah,
is he alive? I don't even know. I don't even know.
I mean, he was writing way back in the day.
But anyway, So it appears as though like there's a lot about this movie that has changed so much when Zack Snyder left.
Yeah.
I wonder. So my speculation is, I wonder if those black-suited Superman scenes were the ones that they reshot where it's shirtless Superman scenes.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You know, maybe he actually came back by natural causes and then goes and fights everybody in the black suit, and then the lowest moment happens and he leaves.
I'm almost wondering if somehow Steppenwolf brought him back to life.
Interesting that you bring that up. So I don't know how much you've been reading. Have you read much about all the stuff that's been coming out?
Yeah,
about
here
what they
and
cut?
there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So one of the big things is the original plot for this movie was Batman mentions his dreams from Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
So we know then why he's going after these parademons and things and knows about them. But on top of that, the big thing is he's going to try and bring Superman back before Steppenwolf does.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf is trying to get these mother boxes so that he can bring back his mother, I think is what it is. And then they would then go and take on Darkseid on Apocalypse and take over that whole planet. Yeah. And so, it's not. He's not bringing back his mother. He's getting the mother. Steppenwolf is getting back the mother boxes to bring back Superman first.
Okay.
So that he can then use him to take over Apocalypse.
Okay.
Which is really interesting because that gives a lot more motivation for why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And taking over Earth. And then supposedly you also get not just a Doomsday reference. not Doomsday, Dark Side reference.
Okay.
Not only do you just get a verbal reference to him, you actually see him. And at the very end, when he gets boom tubed out, at the very end of the movie, he gets taken back to Apocalypse, and Darkseid kills him.
Oh, wow.
He kills him right there. And he makes some reference to being interested in this Kryptonian.
Yeah.
And then there's a post-credit scene where 2 Green Lanterns show up, talk to Batman about finding a Green Lantern from Earth. So there are so many things that were cut from this movie that you're learning about now, including this. And I wonder, I don't know if all those things would make a better movie.
Yeah, see, that's the things I've read. Like, it seems like they were almost trying to cram, like, too much into one story. But I would like to see a little bit more. Like I said 100 times, I would like to see a little bit more on the backstory with Cyborg, because I feel like he interplays so much with the mother boxes, and more on those as well.
Yeah.
But the things I wondered with the black Superman suit is I was thinking, which it kind of stinks because you never saw it in Batman vs Superman, or in Batman vs Superman either, was in the first one, like the Kryptonian ship is like his version of the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah. So I was thinking that's where he gets the black suit from. That's what
I thought.
Because it would make sense, because like he just puts on that Superman suit, the classic one, but like in reality, like you would probably have more than one outfit, you know?
Yeah.
So that was probably just Alt B was the black one.
Yeah, and if you go back to like the comics, in that Death of Superman arc, what happens is there is that black suit there, but it's I don't know. I don't know enough about the comic, and I forget the cartoon which I watched. But I want to say it was either already in the Fortress of Solitude.
It was. Yeah.
But it was designed so that he could regenerate, because
the
soaking
black draws in
more of the UV rays. But anyway.
Plus, you could have kept the facial hair.
And that's the thing. Like, he would have kept all of that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had the weird green screen.
And I bet it could have been there because I bet it somehow. That's the one thing I want explained. And all the movie magic, Superman got impaled by Doomsday, has a hole in the middle of his costume, shows up in the blue costume with nothing. So maybe he has more than one Superman costume, too.
He has to.
So
he has a nice wardrobe. What do you think he did in between Man of Steel, Batman v Superman? He knitted together a lot of those things. That's what Martha was doing. That's why he had such a reaction to Martha, was that he was spending a lot of time with Martha sewing these new suits. Anyway, let us know what you thought of Justice League. Do you think a black-suited Superman would have brought a lot more cheer to your eye when it came to this? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. But let's go to the next topic of discussion, Austin.
So we were talking about the Superman getting cut from Doomsday and all that goodness, but now we're completely switching over to something that kind of plays into your shirt here.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. So this is going to be fun.
Quentin Tarantino, if you haven't heard, is doing an R-rated film. No surprise there. The franchise, however, that he's doing the R-rated film for. First of all, he's doing a franchise, which is weird.
Never happened.
Not Deadpool 2.
Nope.
Don't understand why he didn't do that now if he's going to be in a franchise. Star Trek.
So the news has come out that he is working on creating a Star Trek movie with J.J. Abrams and Paramount. And they've supposedly signed off on it, and it's wanting to be rated R. At least that's the rumor that's going around right now. Quentin Tarantino, and I don't. So this is where it gets interesting. So for those of you, if you're watching this, maybe you know, but Quentin Tarantino has directed 9. Well, he will be his 9th directorial film will be coming out next year. That's based on the Manson murders, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, 9, and he has said all along that he's directing 10 movies and then he's retiring. So that's interesting, is everybody's been speculating what is his 10th film going to be, and then all of a sudden we learn that he's developing a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
Is that going to be his 10th film?
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. I wonder why 10. Like, why does he just?
That's a nice number.
I mean, it is, but
it's a nice number. But and you look at someone like him, where he has complete creative control over his stuff, where he writes it, he directs it. It's usually like I don't think he has huge budgets. I mean, they're not small by any means anymore. But like when he first burst on the scene with Reservoir Dogs, and is just rolling with that, I don't think he's ever made a less than R-rated film.
Yeah.
And so you come into this franchise that has just been rebooted with Star Trek Beyond as being the final one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first Star Trek, the new iteration. I wasn't a huge fan of any of the Star Trek movies before then. So that was right up my alley. I liked Into Darkness. A lot of people didn't. Star Trek Beyond got really, was positively reviewed. I mean, it wasn't like it didn't have as good costumes and makeup and hair as, say, Academy Award winning Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But because that's what it lost to.
Yep.
But anyway, but it's just really an interesting choice. So what would you expect from an R-rated Quentin Tarantino
I've been thinking
Star
in my
Trek?
head the whole time. This is not what it's going to be, but how hilarious would it be?
But this is that's go for it.
What if it was just William Shatner on just like a week-long road trip, and Quentin Tarantino was just filming him with a spy cam, and then they just added CGI Star Trek effects around him? It's just an old guy babbled about, probably using lots of curse words.
So this is what I'm wanting to see.
And violence.
I want him to use a Shatner. Because I just that if you haven't streamed it on Netflix yet, there's a movie called Christmas Horror Story on Netflix. William Shatner's in it. He doesn't do anything awesome, but it's very violent and bloody. And like, if you're a kid, do not watch that movie at all. Believe me, don't. If you're an adult, probably shouldn't watch it either because it's just that dumb. But if you're in a group of friends and you're just wanting a B movie with a lot of cussing and blood and guts and gore, that's the film for you. Yuletide jollies. Anyway, Shatner's in it. So I'm wanting Shatner and Samuel L. Jackson, bounty hunters for the Star Federation. They get hired as like hired hands to just go and wipe out, like, maybe it's a hit list of the 5 most dangerous people in the galaxy, and they have to go where no man has gone before. And it's basically, it's almost like the Pulp Fiction characters going around the galaxies.
What if you want, like, that'd be sweet.
That'd be awesome. And then like the whole soundtrack is just Beastie Boys because we've already been introduced to them in the Star Trek universe.
What if?
Why not?
What if it's? I like your idea. Do you remember the not Batman and Superman, not World's Finest, but what was the one where they were
Public
like
Enemies?
everybody? Yeah. What if it was kind of like that? But instead of Batman vs Superman, it's just William Shatner and Patrick Stewart on like this giant quest together.
What if?
Because they were the two captains.
Dude. So we've already had this established, like, you had Leonard Nimoy and then the new Spock. Why don't you get Chris Pine and William Shatner to go
like
on the
Patrick
run?
Stewart needs to be in this adventure. That guy is. If you watch his stuff outside of like X-Men, he is hilarious.
Okay, here's one. Here's a real Trekkie thing. So Star Trek Nemesis is the only other Star Trek movie I have watched outside of the new ones.
Yeah,
and it is actually, who's in that movie? So the whole premise is like there's some alien race that tries to clone Captain Picard, which is Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
They like clone him for some reason, and it's actually kind of a cool movie.
Yeah.
But you know who plays the clone?
I think it was like Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, that's funny.
So what if?
Oh gosh.
What if we take that they're on the road, and maybe let's combine these. They have to kill these 5 people in order to clear their name, and it's just a bloody shootouts and stuff. So you get cloned Patrick Stewart, which is Tom Hardy, full beef mode Tom Hardy, and then Sir Patrick Stewart now.
That's awesome.
Going around the galaxy. Another thing I saw, another comment, it was a tweet, so I can't take credit for this, but you know how the thing in Star Trek is all the red shirts die? Well, it's a film about it's a film where like these 10 there's supposed to be 10 dangerous aliens arriving in this desert.
Oh gosh.
9 of them show up. The 10th walks in and shuts the door. A light comes on, okay?
Yeah.
And he's a red shirt Trekkie.
Oh gosh.
And he pulls out 2 guns, and the title card comes up. It says Star Trek, Revenge is best served red. And he finally doesn't die, and he just kills them all.
That's awesome.
It's like a shoot 'em up version of the Hateful Eight.
That would also be pretty cool.
What do you want to see in a Star Trek movie directed by Quentin Tarantino? Let us know.
Better comment. Find out what other franchises you would love to see Quentin Tarantino.
Honestly, yeah. Okay, just
Disney
real quick,
princesses?
just real quick. If there were a franchise besides the obvious Deadpool, what would you want Quentin Tarantino?
That's hard, like, because I'm just thinking about it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's just real quick.
Ghostbusters would be sweet.
Man, do you think there's going to be cussing in, like, hardcore cussing in this?
It's R-rated. I mean, it's a...
I just find it very hard to believe that they're actually going to go through with it. But it is a fun place to imagine. For me, My Little Pony, I want it directed by Quentin Tarantino. Anyway, next topic. This one might take a little while to talk about, but Fox and Disney. We kind of hinted at this a couple of weeks ago, and then we started doing some research on it, and it turns out that like big time agencies, news agencies, are running with this now, and they're saying that a deal may be done between Fox, 21st Century Fox, and Disney by the end of next week. And that's as soon as they're saying. So this deal is looking pretty much done.
Wow.
60.
Wow.
So basically, it's Fox News is not going to Disney, and neither is Fox Sports.
Okay.
Neither one of them. But
now, what about
the
their
Fox
channels?
Network?
So
Fox
like Family
Network.
Guy, Simpsons.
So Fox Network is going.
Wow.
FX is going.
Wow.
FXX is going. 20th Century Fox, the film studio. You also have Fox Searchlight, which is the independent branch. All of those entertainment ones are going to Disney. Would go to Disney. $60 billion with a B dollars is what has been valued at. So Austin, I tell you this. What is your first reaction, and what are you thinking? Like the landscape of film and entertainment will forever be changed. But what do you think this is a good thing? First off, do you think this is good?
I'm hesitant because, like, I'm thinking, like, so if Disney has, I mean, would these channels still be in existence?
Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like what it could be is, like, Fox might still continue to run as the same network we know, but maybe it's kind of like how Disney runs ABC, but it doesn't really seem like Disney's, like, you know, you don't watch, like, Modern Family and you're like, oh, yeah, that's definitely a Disney show. You know what I mean? But, like, so it'll probably be like that.
I guess for me, I don't really think much about those types of networks and stuff.
Yeah.
With it, I guess my biggest thing is it comes to the film franchises, and
that's gonna be crazy.
And because we'll get into the connected universes.
Yeah.
In a little bit, but like you look at. A lot of movies are able to be made because they're made by different people, and like not all the money. Because the studio only has so much money they can borrow and that they can use to be able to produce a certain amount of movies. And Disney produces a butt ton of content every year, but then 20th Century Fox also does because they're their own entity, and then Sony does its own thing because it's its own entity, and it makes you wonder, like, the more we consolidate these things together, does that mean we're going to have less and less content?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you.
And what's going to happen, because you have an interesting theory about if this goes through, what the next step might be.
Yeah, I definitely do. I don't know who's going to buy out who, but if this happens, I think Warner Brothers and Universal get together because they've had this same kind of, if you followed this stuff with like the Legendary Pictures. So that's been, was with Warner Brothers, but it's also Universal, but sometimes they team up together for like King Kong and Godzilla and those movies. So those are big budget movies that they're working on together, which you wouldn't have seen 10 years ago, So very similar to the Sony and Marvel and the Spider-Man. So yeah, I could see that happening too. And also because, like I was telling you, like, I mean, it was a big hit this year. But like beyond just the DC stuff, like the last few years has been very, very like hit or miss for Warner Brothers. I mean, you look at that Peter Pan movie with Hugh Jackman was a huge flop. Chappie. Like, that.
I mean, but Chappie wasn't a huge movie. Like, I don't think they invested too much money.
No, I think they lost a lot of money on it though.
But like you look, I mean, it seems like it's just like franchises run things, and so Warner Brothers does have the Harry Potter stuff.
They do, and that's doing. And but it's at Universal Studios.
Well, that's where this gets interesting. Is like the whole Fox Disney merger shouldn't have taken us by surprise, because you just look at the theme parks, which seems like a very strange place to look at for these sort of things, but it makes a lot of sense. And I started doing some homework, but so all of you people that are my Disney folks. Shout out to the Armstrong family getting me there a couple of years ago, going back in January. If you're going to be there in January of this year, hit me up, let me know. Like you go on what the great movie ride, may it rest in peace. It had Alien in it. There used to be an Alien ride. And then you also had the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and Indiana Jones being in the great movie ride. And all the Star Wars stuff that was there before Disney even acquired the Lucasfilm stuff. And so you had all of those things there, which are 20th Century Fox properties that are allowed to be there and kind of put on display. And you even brought up, like, they would have Power Ranger. Did they have a Power Ranger ride?
They had the characters.
Or just, like, the characters walking around.
And they used to show, like, the shows. Like, they would reboot the old 90s.
And so, like, that was all old stuff. But then what's very interesting, and this came to my attention this year, Avatar Land is now at Animal Kingdom.
Fox.
And which was so strange to me. Why would you do that? Well, they're trying to promote the new movies that are coming out. But you've heard that it's a super ambitious project. Fox is going to sink a ton of money into this. He's planning number 2 and number 3. Well, if number 2 does well, they're going to film 3 to 4 back to back, and it's going to be a ton of money. Well, how are you going to have the money for all of that stuff? Because it's a huge risk. Well, you drum up the support by making Avatar Land, and Disney allows that to be there because maybe they're wanting to acquire it. And so maybe we should have seen this merger coming along.
The Star Trek movies, aren't they Fox? Like the last ones?
Oh.
I'd actually have to look that up. I don't quite
know,
remember.
like, the TV show is CBS.
Okay, so it's probably somebody else then.
But... So that all, maybe we should have seen this Fox thing coming sooner. But where it really starts getting interesting is, what does this mean for the cinematic universes of the X-Men, of the Fantastic Four, and then the Avengers now? What does this mean? Go for it.
Well, for one, because they're already doing the marketing on Deadpool, and they're doing the same thing again. So that's the first thing I address is, like, they got to figure out what they're going to do with that, because Disney loves money, but they don't like the way he acts. They're going to have to come on a middle ground on that, because, but the problem you get in that, if Disney produces it, makes a PG-13 movie, then kids go, oh, let's go watch the other 2 Deadpool movies. So you're kind of in a weird pigeonhole. I'm still into the idea you make those under one of your subsidiary companies or something.
Well, and that's the one. I wonder if 20th Century Fox becomes that subsidiary company like Miramax was. For Disney, where do they allow that, or is it Touchstone? Like
Touchstone. Yeah, they had Miramax. That was actually Harvey Weinstein. So
Touchstone being the the thing that they actually, fun fact, that's where they released The Nightmare Before Christmas 3, because they didn't think it was good, it was too dark to be a Disney movie. So maybe 20th Century Fox becomes that.
And that's what I could see them doing. As far as the other MCU stuff and bringing the characters together, I told you kind of my plan for how they could do it. You might have your own. But I was telling you that if they do something in Avengers 4 where you use, like you were saying, like a reality stone or something like that.
Because that gauntlet's going to mess all sorts of stuff up, man.
So, like, it would be very similar to, I'm sure if you watch this, you're very familiar with the Flashpoint plot line, whether it's through the show or the comics or the upcoming movie that may or may not happen. And, but anyway, so there's a lot of things that happen in Flashpoint, but the one that I thought was really interesting was, like, Superman, instead of crashing in Smallville, crashes in Metropolis, and instead of becoming the Superman we all love and adore, he becomes a lab rat that we never discover. So, like, and that was all that really was in the story. But I was telling you, so what if the one thing that gets changed, and then you think of kind of how the butterfly effect works through that, is, like, instead of Captain America, like, sacrificing himself in the first movie, and then they discover him 70 years later or whatever in the ice, he doesn't die there. Like, he makes it through his mission. He lives out his life with Peggy. They're happy together. And the other thing, too, I was telling you, is because he's always around, he becomes like the S.H.I.E.L.D. bodyguard. So, like, Tony Stark's dad doesn't get killed by Bucky. Bucky may not go completely AWOL either because Steve's still there. So, like, all that stuff changes, and because the parents never died and Tony Stark never becomes Iron Man, he just stays a spoiled child.
Yeah.
And then you have to restart, and that's how you
and that would be a really interesting plot line, I think, for that fourth movie. If they include that in there, kind of like that alternate reality type of thing. It's kind of like a Days of Future Past kind of feel, where like someone from the like maybe Doctor Strange has to come back and make sure all this stuff happens that forms the Avengers so they can take on Thanos.
Imagine too, like what you could do with Captain America, because I imagine like the way he would age, like he could probably live like 150 years or whatever. Like he probably ages a little bit, because he talks about when he drinks he can't get drunk with his cells. So imagine you kind of get like when you rediscover Captain America in this universe, he's kind of like this grizzled old, like, you know, like kind of war veteran guy.
So this is what's interesting, because if they have the Fox characters, imagine him fighting alongside Wolverine.
That would be, I would want to see that movie so bad.
I would want to see those two fight square off against each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
But that's what, I wonder, like, if they bring in, so like I've heard people like saying, get a dump truck load of money, back it up to Hugh Jackman's house, say, listen, buddy, we need you back for the 4th movie. We want you to fight in the 4th one as Wolverine, and we want you to be the post-credit scene for the 3rd one. And that would be sick. That would be awesome. I think you can reason that, because he got such an awesome goodbye, I guess, in the Logan. Like, the end of Logan was bittersweet. It was a gut punch. It works well with the movie. But just as a fan, if I felt like I just watched a family member die on screen.
Yeah.
And so I, like, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that movie yet, but but I wonder if, because of the reality bending and stuff, if then that happens. And plus, since these movies happen in the present, this is a different present than the present of Logan in the X-Men universe, which happens in the future. So then all of this stuff happens, and you can actually still reason that Wolverine is still good to go and still kicking and still rocking.
You could even maybe get around. I'm just thinking about if Wolverine's in the World War II line. I wonder if you could get away with
get him in the Howling Commandos.
Well, that'd be sweet. What if you did? I don't know if you could, because Disney's getting better at that thing where they take the actor and make him look younger. So what if you like have Hugh Jackman, but he looks like Wolverine
X-Men
from
Origins.
like 1999.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Like, so he looks a little bit younger, because now he looks like Logan, like he did in the last movie.
but I'm simultaneously excited and then kind of cautious with it, because I love having the X-Men not there. I understand having them, but I feel like you're not going to get as many films and as wide a variety of like ratings and stuff with them if they're all under the same umbrella. But then again, I mean, Disney's good at making money, so we'll just sit back and enjoy the ride and see what happens. Tell us what you think about it as well in the comments. But so today we are going to discuss a question that was brought up on last week's episode. Saw a comment from Luke. He asked, he was curious about what order, because we mentioned it last week about like different orders that you can actually watch the Star Wars movies in. And so I guess, you know, you have all of these different Star Wars movies now. And how many are there now?
8.
There are 8, including Rogue One. So, Austin,
9,
you mentioned you've been watching all of them, right? And leading up to episode 8. So, Austin, I have the theory on how you should watch them. What's your preferred method?
I mean, I
wasn't
too creative with it. I've just gone in order of how it makes sense in the story, which includes when you finish the prequels, then you watch Rogue One. And then you watch the original trilogy, and then you finish with episode 7.
So there are a bunch of people that are all about release order. That's the order you should watch.
I've never thought about it.
What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on it? It kind of gets weird now because with the bouncing
with the
around
stories.
But when it was just the class without Rogue One,
the only thing that would make it look good was the fact that the effects look like they get better and better.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you know, you watch 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, and then you watch 7, then you watch. You would go back and watch.
I think it's cool, like if you're somebody like us that likes watching film, it's kind of cool trying to see where we've came with the different movies and stuff, you know. And what I'm never on here, but I've bagged on episode 7 a couple times. Just, it's not bad, but it's not.
I don't know why. Why do you rag on that movie? It is the best remake of episode 4 I've ever seen. But the one thing I will say, you called it a remake. The one thing I did like about it was, when you were watching it, it was a movie made in 2017, but I thought they did their best at making it look like it's taking place right after the original 3. With like some updated graphics.
But it's not like the prequels. Sometimes like the graphics look like way too.
There's a lot of like green screen backgrounds and planets and stuff.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool in that one. Yeah, that's kind of a tangent. But just something I thought of.
Well, and I mean, and that's true. But what I appreciate about those prequels, please, internet, don't kill us here.
I like the prequels. I'll stand by.
I'm done.
They have their faults.
Out of here. Let me leave this podcast now. Okay.
You name me a better lightsaber battle than the Episode 3 one with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Look, that one's awesome, and I mean, like the prequels do overall have some really cool moments in them, and personally, like, I appreciate the fact that it feels like Star Wars, but it's a lot different. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing with Episode 7 is it felt kind of like a retread of where we've already been. Now that understandably. I get it because they felt like the general audience needed to have their faith restored in what Star Wars is. Yeah. And so they need to make sure they go through that. Yeah. I'm struggling here with just like right now because we already started to talk about Star Trek. Yeah. And now we're talking about Star Wars. I apologize in advance if I mistakenly say one or the other. It's no offense. Okay?
One or the other.
Anyway, but with Star Wars, so 7... Okay, so let's back up to the original question here. The order, if you are watching Star Wars for the very first time, or you're going to do a marathon on them, we did this with a church, with my church youth group back when Episode 7 came out. We did an all-nighter and watched every single movie 1 through 6. And this is how we did it. We started at 7 p.m., mm-hmm. and you go Episode 4, Episode 5, mm-hmm. because that establishes Star Wars, where it began. You're kind of like putting in the middle of the story. You know who Luke is. You find out who Leia is. And it also preserves a very, very big spin that was critical to like that whole thing of who Darth Vader actually is. Some people in this world still do not know who Darth Vader actually is. Okay? Spoiler alert, it's Anakin. So so at the end of Episode 5, you get the "No, I am your father." Mm-hmm. No. That's me falling.
I feel like, how would you not know that? Even if you never there was years and years before I watched them, and I still knew that plot line.
I mean, it's a big pop culture thing, but I mean, like you think about kids. That's what I'm thinking of. Like there are kids that have never watched Star Wars, and you know, and especially now, the further away we get from those people, from that being the core thing of the story, the less it's going to be talked about. Yeah. There are bigger fish to fry. We're trying to figure out who Rey's parents are. We're trying to, you know, we're learning about all these different things, these different elements. So the further we get from there, the more it makes sense why more kids don't know. But anyway, so you watch Episode 4 and 5, you get that whole spin, and then what happens is you go back to Episode 1. Mm-hmm. In Episode 2 and Episode 3, and we learn, okay, we heard that this Anakin was killed by Darth Vader. Now we found out Darth Vader was Anakin. How did that happen? Yeah. And you get that whole lead up, and then you watch Episode 3, and right after Episode 3, you would watch Episode 6. Yeah. And that's with just the 6. Because what's interesting is you then get these cool parallels. You see what Lucas was doing. Mm-hmm. And this also helps you appreciate a lot more what George Lucas was doing and like hearkening back to the original stories in the prequels to make it look like he was setting those things up like in the storyline where these things happened and then they also play out later on. But you see how like Anakin's path and Luke's path in 6, Anakin's path in 3 are very, very similar in what they talk about and the opportunities that they have parallel each other so much. But then you see Anakin go to the dark side, but you know that there was some good there. Luke flirts with the dark side, but then comes back, and then you understand the redemption of Darth Vader in Episode 6 better because you've just watched his downfall in Episode 3. Now with the inclusion of Rogue One and Episode 7. Yeah. What I would do is watch this, and this is interesting. We were talking about the graphics discussion. I would watch Rogue One. Yeah. And then I'll watch Episode 4. It's going to be jarring because of the graphics.
But it's like right before.
Because like here's my hot take. I think Episode 4 is one of the worst Star Wars movies ever made. I really do. I understand what people say, that it's great because like technologically it was amazing and all of that. And I mean, you can say that, but then I would just caution you to not say that until you watch 2001: A Space Odyssey and Stanley Kubrick, who did those things before we landed on the moon in 1967. In 1967, that movie came out. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Is it 67 or 68?
Yeah.
That movie came out. And it's understandable why people think he faked the moon landing, because he makes a very convincing outer space.
Yeah.
And a lot of those similar shots that you see in Star Wars, years later, you see just as well done in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Go and watch it. And there are monkeys. Episode 4 is severely lacking in monkeys hitting stuff with bows.
They have Wookiees.
Yeah, they have Wookiees, but they aren't going bum 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 ba-da. You don't get that song once. You get John Williams, but you don't get that.
I feel like we still won because he got John Williams.
We got John Williams. Anyway, but I don't think episode 4 is all that great. I think it's super cheesy. I don't really like it. I understand it's setting up all that stuff, but as itself, I think it is the second worst Star Wars movie ever made. You can fight me on that. It's whatever. Anyway,
for what it's worth, I love it. It's
you're allowed to. You're allowed to. But so with graphics wise, it's going to be really jarring. But the story, and you were talking about this earlier, that works really well because you can introduce someone to what the Star Wars universe is like, and with Rogue One, and you don't have to talk about the Jedi yet.
That's true.
And then they introduce like what's the Force? And then in episode 4 you get that reintroduced, and then you get episode 5, and then you backtrack to the prequels, and then you go forward, and then you watch episode 6 and then episode 7, which will bring up, when you watch those movies back to back, it will bring up one glaring and just jarring story thing that I think is dumb when it comes to episode 7.
Okay.
Episode 6, you end with this big party, right?
Yeah.
The galaxy is saved.
Episode
7 is like, it's like a SpongeBob episode. 30 years later.
And then
we suck again. Yeah, we're bad. Yeah. All right. It's like the Browns took over the galaxy.
Literally.
The Browns took over the galaxy, and they're like, yeah, we'll just bring back the bad guys. That'd be good.
The Browns.
He has a helmet. Let's trust him. That guy has a scar on his face. He can't possibly be a bad guy.
I feel like...
It's like, the guy's Gollum. Like, Smeagol is showing up to run the galaxy right now.
It'd be like...
Didn't they... it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but they have to have access to the Lord of the Rings. Come on.
It'd be kind of like after the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, like the next year, they're like, I know this World Series was fun, we got the whole celebration, but what you guys really loved was those Cubs that couldn't win, had
lovable
steroids.
Losers.
So like they just field the worst team the next year. Like, it's the classic Cubs.
Talking about things you want Quentin Tarantino to take over. I want to see a Boba Fett movie directed by Quentin Tarantino. I want to see him with all of those awesome mercenaries. No incinerations.
Yeah.
I want to see that happen.
The thing with Tarantino, he would be the one to do a Boba Fett movie, but he would still have the same amount of lines as he does in the regular trilogy. Like, he has like 6 lines in a 2-hour movie.
Look, as long as they said it in the somehow bring back Mace Windu in it. That's what we need. That's what we need, because Samuel Jackson's in all the stuff.
That's true.
He has to be in it. Oh, man.
Yeah, we kind of sidetracked it.
Well, I mean, that's...
So, order. How would it say you like the stuff?
I liked,
Rogue One, 4, 5.
Rogue One, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7.
Well, something I think I'm interested. Have you seen the thing? It's actually, if you're a Star Wars fan or just you like kids, like one of the fun things.
Man, if you're liking kids, that's weird.
In a good way. But on YouTube they have all these videos where like they'll film their kids' reaction to the big Luke Skywalker reveal that Darth Vader, I am your father, and there's great reactions.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
My favorite one though is, and I don't know what order they watched it, they have their kids reacting to Anakin kneeling to Sidious, and he was like, I now forth call you Darth Vader. And the girl's going, what? Like,
they must have just watched it 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, like that's still kind of cool. Like, because you realize, like, that was our I'm your father moment.
Because, like, for us, it's so easy for people on this end that, you know, we're 20 something to bash on those prequels. But that right there, that is the magic of film right there. Where you have a kid, these are kids that are just watching this wholesome stuff. I mean, granted, he kills a bunch of younglings.
Yeah. Well, that's before. That's after.
Well, sidebar. Have you seen? There's a picture. There's a meme where it has the younglings thing, and it's the kid who's like, hey, "What are we supposed to do?"
Yeah,
so it takes that. So it has that picture, and the kid is holding like a present, and he's like, "Mr. Anakin, we've ran out of wrapping paper. What are we to do?" And then Anakin, it's like the sort of the lightsaber. It's a roll of wrapping paper, and it says, and then it goes to a panel of Anakin smiling, and it says, Anakin's heart grew 3 sizes. That's what I envisioned a Disney Star Wars movie.
That would have been a good ending. It's like how it should have ended for episode 3. They're like, he's like instead of, I forget what the whole scenario was, but instead of going to the dark side, he like defeats the Emperor, and then he has Luke and Leia, and he's like telling them the story of Naboo, and they're like, so that's the whole story? He's like, yeah, and then we live happily and have this family. They're like, I feel like that could have led into a much better story than this one. It's pretty good. Sidebar, their stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, that's really, really good. But yeah, so that just shows you the magic of film, though. Like, these kids, like, reacting so viscerally to it and just loving it. And so it's just a reminder that even something that we think is dumb is stupid. I think Episode 4 is a terrible film.
Yeah.
But my roommate loves it. There's a lot of people that swear by it. And it's just the magic of film coming to fruition. And like, so the kids showing up to Disney and looking at these Star Wars characters to life.
My favorite example of that, because you're talking about Episode 4, was on Jimmy Kimmel's show the other day. He had like the whole cast from episode, or the main cast on Episode 8. So Laura Dern's in the new one, Jurassic Park, woo woo. So they were asking her like, oh, you've been in a big franchise before, and like, what's this like? And she said, well, she's like, you know, I really got my love for cinema when like me and my friends went and saw, you know, the original Star Wars in theaters in 1977. But then the crazy part is they have the whole cast there, and Laura Dern's like had a really good career. Outside of Jurassic Park, she's been in other really good stuff.
Yeah, she was just in Twin Peaks as well.
Yeah, so she says all that shit. She's going on, and she's like real professional. And she like gets halfway through her sentence, and she's like, you can tell she's remembering seeing it for the first time. And she's like, and oh, by the way, Luke Skywalker's here. And like, she just totally fangirls over Mark Hamill.
Well, and then like, you know, I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, and you hear that almost a similar story with him being like, he loved going to the cinema and watching Star Wars for the first time. Like that is a pivotal moment in a lot of people's lives, and that shows you the power of that blockbuster and what George Lucas really did for Hollywood. And so it's, and whether you're a sci-fi fan or not, and maybe it's not as much science, there's not really much science in there, so more of like space adventure type of person. You can appreciate what Star Wars did. And like, you look at the modern superhero film, modern superhero movies and cinematic universes and stuff wouldn't be the way they are without George Lucas.
No, I was telling my wife that one day. This is like kind of a good note to end on. I know we kind of got away with from the order and stuff, but I think it's kind of odd that like, so Walt Disney passed away, I think in 1975-ish, because it was right before Disney World and came out in 77. I don't know. I don't know, 76, I think it was. But anyways, so it was around the same time that Star Wars came out. So I was telling Jules, it's like, it seems weird. It was almost like a passing of the torch of like Disney created all these like great memorable characters, and then like George Lucas comes to the forefront. And people can boo-hoo him all the time. But you think of all the, not just Star Wars, but like Indiana Jones, unforgettable character.
Yeah.
Like all these characters.
Indiana Jones being a product of Episode 4, and George Lucas just being afraid it was going to bomb.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard that story, right? So the story is that he went to Hawaii when it premiered, after it premiered, like the first weekend, because he was afraid that the press was going to destroy it. And so the one guy that kept faith in him, even after the first cut, which was reportedly horrendously bad, the one person that believed in him, they went on vacation, and you know who it was? Steven Spielberg. Yeah. And so while they were on the beach, they pitched and dreamed up the idea of Indiana Jones.
That's awesome.
And then it was successful, and they were able to work together. And
well, because I heard him talk about when he first, was Steven Spielberg first saw it, he was like, he was like, you know, he said, you know, he brought me and a bunch of other of his directing buddies to watch his first cut, and they had different things to say about it, and he was like, just basically saying like, I think this has a chance of being
something
awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
So what? You a big fan of Star Wars? Do you think I'm absolutely wrong about the episode 4? Oh, and just real quick here, what order do you put your favorites?
As Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Oh man, like we're going top to bottom.
You can go either way.
Okay, so probably we'll go from least favorite. So least favorite, and granted, I like all the start. Like all of them probably get a 6.5 or above for me.
Okay.
So my least favorite one would probably be Attack of the Clones.
Agreed.
Then right above that, Episode 1. Episode 1 does have some good stuff in it. I know there's Jar Jar. Take Jar Jar out of that movie. It's not bad. I mean, Qui-Gon's awesome.
You got Qui-Gon, you got
Maul.
Yeah.
The Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
That's that theme.
Yeah.
So those are the bottom ones. They're going to take me to somewhere in a deep, dark place for this one. But I go back and forth between Episode 6 and Episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
So those ones there. Then Rogue One. And then you get Episode 4. Episode 3 is a close one for my top, and then my favorite one's Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. For me, Episode 2 is the worst, followed by 4 being second worst. Then I go Episode 1. I really do like Episode 1 a lot. I'll watch it. You got the pod races. You got Darth Maul.
Yeah.
You got Qui-Gon. They're awesome. I might actually put let's just throw everybody for a loop. I'm gonna put Episode 6 and then Episode 1, and then we'll go Rogue One, and then Rogue One, then Force Awakens, Episode 5. My favorite is Episode 3.
Yeah,
Absolutely
Episode
love
3
I love
is
the
so
bridging
good.
of everything together.
Yeah.
And it's epic. You can call me ridiculous, whatever.
It's the only Star Wars movie that when you think about it, it starts epic and it ends epic.
Yeah.
Because like most of them, like the Episode 4 has a slow build. Empire Strikes Back gets there, he gets attacked by a Wampa, but there's nothing like... This one starts out with... Like there's like an air battle going on, then they're going through like the space station, then there's a Jedi versus Sith battle. Like you get all the good Star Wars stuff, and that's the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then the finale, you get Yoda
epic.
Fighting
Choreographed
Sidious.
fights, but at the same time they're really fun. They're really awesome, and it's just like
But they're
explosions and lightsabers and stuff, man. Like what more do you want?
I think like I think you talked about this with Batman Returns is like not being like the best film with Batman in it, but being like the most Batman movie.
Yeah.
As far as live action. But like I feel like Episode 3 is kind of, maybe I'm wrong on this, but for me as just a generic movie fan, not generic, but as far as Star Wars goes, like that is your Star Wars. I mean, you get everything you want in there. I mean, even Chewbacca and a scene full of Wookiees is in there just because.
Yeah. So those are our thoughts. Let us know how we're wrong. We'd love to hear that. Just a couple of housekeeping things. So I have a friend that I met in the in the We Rally Facebook page, which we talked about this a few weeks back. It's an awesome, positive place talking about like how we can better empower women and females in just not be ridiculously dumb when it comes to like film analysis and YouTube space and just all this stuff. And so it's a really awesome place. I encourage you to check it out. But anyway, she's doing some really good work. My friend, this girl, Natalie Hodgins. Sorry if I butchered your name. She's in London, and she is actually right now. She's a director and is crowdfunding a short film. And I'll put in the trailer. Well, I'm not. We'll link the trailer below, and also the Indiegogo campaign that they're doing right now, but it's called Girl Happy. I've watched the trailer. It looks delightful. It looks awesome, and she's just a really awesome individual. So give her some love. Pitch in a few bucks towards their campaign, and that would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. She'll appreciate it. It's just a good time all around. So we, though, have a trailer to show you guys for something that's coming up. And I'm not going to say what it is. Let's just roll that clip, shall we? You tell them to roll the clip.
Roll it!
Well, hey, sport.
Merry Christmas! I said, Merry Christmas! Hey! We don't have to have television for Christmas entertainment. How about a nice Christmas story? Twas the night before Christmas, or at least the Christmas podcast. Ray and Austin were in their office, and they were talking quite fast. Their discussion had fervor and passion, and it could definitely be heard from the bottom floor of the building to the people up on the third.
Oh, look at me, I'm a hipster. I don't like traditional Christmas movies.
That doesn't even make sense! It doesn't even think about it! You're a mean one, Mr. Ray, and you know why. Batman Returns isn't even a Christmas movie. You saying it is a lie.
Well, I hate the live-action Grinch, that one you find so groovy. What's up with that voice by Jim Carrey? What is it? A Sean Connery done poorly? I don't like it.
Wait, didn't you just...
The yelling intensified, and it only became worse, until finally their voices became quite hoarse. They sat and pondered, and knew what must be done.
We could go caroling, and carol our cares away.
Or we could do a podcast.
Yeah, podcast sounds good.
They'd have a debate on Prancer, on Nightmare, and White Christmas too. They'd figure out which film makes their Christmas least And at the end, they would know the answer to their query. Which Christmas film is best? Which makes the people most cheery? 'Twill be the debate before Christmas on the Real Good Podcast. Stay tuned, get ready. This will be the best. So, how'd you like the tale?
I don't know. I think the Grinch movie is still a better story.
How dare you enter the Grinch?
How about that? Doesn't that get you in the Christmas season?
Yeah, so that's coming up. So make sure you tune in on that date so that you see what all's going on. Austin, where can people find you?
Facebook, under my name, Austin James, the one from Marietta. I'm sure there's others. And Twitter, I'm at ADJames24, and yeah. And I think I have a Snapchat, so if you find me on there.
Yeah, he does. He sends inappropriate stuff, though.
No, I don't.
So, too many pictures of golden doodles.
I do send a lot of those.
At Official R. Morris on everything. Just look it up. And then make sure you follow Red Turbo Jacket Productions. Just follow the end title and all the links below. Just in the description, we put it all in there, whatever. You know where to find us. Make sure you tell your friends what's going on. So, for the Real Good Podcast, brought to you by Coffee and Red Turbo Jacket Productions, I'm Raymond Morris.
And I'm Austin James.
We'll see you next time. Bye. See ya.
Bye-bye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Okay.
Why are you still here?